Alrighty. Now I'm going to get into this new topic, pump and dump. What are your first thoughts when you hear that phrase?
So I
My
think
favorite topic.
we might disagree on this a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna, yeah, and not wholly. Of course, I'm not a fan of pumping and dumping, but and tell me if I'm wrong on this. But when I've watched some of your videos and you talk about pumpers, not necessarily pumping and dumping,
Yeah.
but just pumpers. I don't necessarily have an issue with pumping um, categories. So in general, when someone is talking just as sports cards as a whole, to me, I don't see how that's really any different than someone saying I'm bullish on stocks as a whole. If they're saying like it's different if you're talking very, very specific and nuanced, in my opinion. And then on the back end, maybe you're trying to sell. So you're like, I'm excited about this stock while you're trying to sell it. That's different. Um, or collectibles. It's like, oh, I'm really excited about this particular card while you're trying to sell it on the back end. Obviously, don't like that. But I'm not really as, if someone is saying, I really love a particular category or even a type of card, I'm bullish on vintage cards. I love vintage baseball cards. To me, I don't see how that's any different than even if you look at regulated categories like equities. Warren Buffett goes on and he's in an interview and he's talking about how Coca-Cola is an amazing company and he drinks 8 Cokes a day. I mean, technically he's pumping. I don't know if he's selling on the back end or whatever, probably not, but I don't necessarily have an issue with the pump part. If it's people just talking about what they're buying because they're excited about it, or if they're investing in it. I don't have as much of an issue there with just the generalities of it.
So the way that I look at it is I'm looking at from the equity space. I've followed, all types of investments, big cap stocks like Coca-Cola, like you're saying. But I have followed alternative investments and the people involved in that space over a decade ago. And there was clearly pumping and dumping with this small group. I think Charles may know about this. There were these guys at, I believe, NIA, and Peter Schiff had accused them of being involved in some pump and dump scheme because this one guy, Jonathan Lebed, over 20 some years ago, he was on internet chat forums and he was just, hyping these penny stocks. And on the back end, he was just selling them, right? And as you know, penny stocks are not, there's low volume compared to
Oh,
stocks like Coca-Cola.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like Safe Moon crypto or whatever. Like, if you can have a crypto that's worth, 0.00001, like less than a penny stock,
Right.
and if you just get a little bit of movement on that crypto, or that penny stock, like what you're saying. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
That's a problem. I mean, that's the whole Jordan Belfort thing, the
Yeah,
Wolf
yeah, yeah.
of Wall Street.
Exactly. And I'm just looking at it that look, collectibles have low volume.
Yes.
So, and I could compare what Lebed did in what the late 90s to what people here on YouTube are doing, where they're just hyping, 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 and then on the back end they're trying to unload it and they're not, making those intentions clear, or then making some comments saying, "Hey, I'm trying to sell to the community. I'm all about the community." But in reality, they're all in it for themselves and just lying about the not comps, but just trying to mislead people. And people have messaged me over a month ago, when some of these videos were coming out, and you're well aware of them. People were messaging me about all of these shady things and certain influencers. I'm not going to get into that particularly here, but I just have a lot more information than I did just a month ago. And, people may say I'm talking generalities. Like I have, exact proof of what some of these guys are doing. It's just not, in the public's eye. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. It's just that, hey, you could get a lot of people to talk about maybe a liquid asset like Apple, right? You can't pump and dump Apple, right? Um, that's just impossible. But when it comes to these stocks with not stock collectibles with low volume, I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we can't move Apple. I guess
yeah,
if you're Warren Buffett, you can move Apple. But yeah, you're right. The retail investor, the average Joe is not moving Apple.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think that what exactly what you said, I think you run into a little bit of an issue. Not, I mean, if you are a if you're a dealer and you're also a big time content creator, those are two things that are interesting. That's a tough dynamic because you're talking about what you like, you're also talking about what you're selling. You're and so it's that can get a little tricky, especially with niche markets within cards.
right. Yeah. And I don't know if you know this one individual on Instagram, P Ryan Collection. Have you heard of him?
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
Yeah, he has like he's big in the I think it's the ticket consulting business, and he's good friends with Darren Ravel. He sometimes, links to some of my videos in his stories. But he was talking about how the feds, the FBI is looking into individuals. It may be more in the fractional space, and it could be in crypto too, where they're just hyping it up like crazy. Oh, good investment, great investment. Then, since it's low volume, and they figured, hey, we could just dump it, and they weren't telling their uh, audience. I mean, that's where the FBI may start to get involved. And people say, oh, the FBI doesn't do anything, but they may try to nab some people like with Operation Ballpark in the 1990s
Sure.
and with Mastro. So, that's what I talk about pumping and dumping. There is a lot of hyping. So, even though I say they're pumping, right? It's, synonymous with hyping, but I do believe there is that dump factor as well and some shady behavior from some of these influencers, in my opinion. But
I think the FBI is probably so busy with counterfeit and fakes and all that stuff. Not to say that you're wrong. I'm not. I agree with you, but I just think that the counterfeit problem and the fake slabs, and I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. I think that they're going to be busy with those cases, and they have been. I mean, sports memorabilia fakes that's been an issue for a long time, and so I know they're going to be busy with that stuff.
yeah, I think the other challenging part is to get people to snitch on someone else. I think that's how they were able to get Mastro, and that's how they were able to crack down on Operation Ballpark. Sometimes someone may not want to, open their mouth, right, for obvious reasons, but then there will be people that just snitch, and then the FBI says, "Hey, we're not gonna make you guilty," or something like that. All the